speaking about a topic such as wealth is takes time because it's a very expansive topic. And when we speak about something like money, we're not just speaking about money, but we're speaking about the structures of society, like capitalism. We're speaking about what we place value on as humans and how we value our own time, how we value our own energy, how we value our own talents, how we value other people's talents, what we deserve, what we don't deserve, what we fear, what we don't fear. All these things are lumped up into one tiny package that we call money. And it's very interesting because how we speak about money reflects a lot about our consciousness in regards to all those things I just listed and our own personal experience of money, right? So money is simply a representation of power. And like any of the opulences, like beauty, like fame, like strength, like knowledge, education, skills, money is just another opulence. It's another form of wealth. And like any of them, they are like knives. So I could ask you, is money good or bad? Is a knife good or bad? And you would probably say, well, is a knife good or bad? It's not a person. So, it depends on who's using it and how it's used. Exactly. So a knife can be used by a surgeon to heal somebody, or a knife can be used by a robber to harm somebody. The same thing is true with any of those opulences I mentioned, and especially money, because it's just power, and power amplifies the consciousness with which it's used. So when it comes to something like money, we need to get the right guidance, the right consciousness to be able to use it in uplifting, empowering, upbuilding ways that are beneficial to all of society than destructive ways that we're used to seeing, and which is why money has such a bad rep on it. So the first thing I want you to do that I think is going to be super helpful for your relationship with money is understanding all the negative beliefs that you have about money. Okay, so if you want to take time to pause this video, I want you to just write a bunch of statements as if money was a person. So if money was a person, what are all the bad things you would say about them, right? Money is greedy. Money is selfish. Money is for those who are privileged. Money is exploitative, right? Like if money was a person, what is the trash you would talk about them, right? Not that we want to get a practice of talking trash about anybody, but what I notice is we have a lot of negative beliefs around money, and understanding them is super, super important. I'll tell you why in just a moment. But first, I want you to make that list of negative beliefs that you have. Just keep going. You can pause the video if you want and make a list of all the negative beliefs you hold around money. And then what I want you to do is make a second list. And I want you to just lighten up your beliefs for a second. And ask yourself, if the exact opposite of what I believe was true is true, and you're totally wrong in your belief around money, what would be true? For each of those negative beliefs, give the exact opposite of that belief, right? So money is greedy. The opposite would be money is generous. Money is for the elite. The opposite would be money is for everyone, right? So these are obviously very general. Yours are going to be more personal, but take the exact opposite of that belief and list it side by side. Then what I want you to do, the last part of this experiment, I promise it's super worth it, is read all of those negative beliefs that you have around money, and then read all of their positive alternatives and opposites, and see which one of those lists inspires your consciousness more with your mission that you have. Okay, so really I encourage you to take the time for this because money is a massive part of our lives. And why this is so important is because, like me, I lived as a monk or a monastic sort of lifestyle for many years, and before that didn't really care about money much either, and prided myself on living with as little material resources as possible and getting the most out of life. Like that was my I've beat the system. I'm experiencing tons of travel and culture and wisdom and fun without much money. And that was like, I feel like I've beat the system, right? I don't need money. But I think when it comes to thinking about the more expansive version of how I want to live my life and how I want to serve others, especially, what is the most broad-minded mission and most expansive mission and way of living I could think of that could serve and benefit the most amount of people? So money for money's sake, while money for money's sake is not important to me and was not important to me, when I think about that vision, it is wonderful. It's like all the things I hope for in my relationships and my purpose and my service to others and my spiritual life, etc. What does that look like at its highest potential? And then understanding that at its highest potential, there's a large financial component behind it if I want to do it right, if I want to do it from a place of like not freaking out the whole time, right? So while money might not be important to me for money's sake, my vision for life should be important. And at its most expansive state, especially if I'm trying to serve others, there's a large financial component behind that vision. Okay, so I want you to just reframe that and look at the positive alternatives to those beliefs and understand that what if my life is about service, if my life's about all these wonderful things that I say it's about, at their highest potential, what list would be more beneficial for me to adopt as my core beliefs? Is it this negative belief list, or is it the positive alternatives belief around money? Okay, so even if you were to do like a comprehensive study around money and you found like, well, actually, let me back up. Let's say you looked at poor people. If you looked at poor people, you'd probably find poor people who have bad character and who are not very nice people. And you'd find poor people who are wonderful, amazing, saintly, incredible people. And if you looked at wealthy people, you'd probably find people who are pretty undeveloped, selfish, exploitative. And you'd probably find wealthy people who are super generous and loving and wonderful, right? So even if you were to somehow conclude like that people with money were all the bad things that you thought about them, would it not be super productive and helpful to the world to be a person who simultaneously thrives and is in alignment with higher principles and has the money to be able to serve everybody at a higher level? Okay. So really think about that. Like, would it not be beneficial to shift that paradigm and shift that model and thrive in your own life at the same time? So when I first started really increasing my income and helping other people do the same, I had to really check in with myself because, like I said, any power just amplifies whatever consciousness you have and can be super destructive if you don't have the right guidance and the right intentions. So I had to check in with myself like, okay, let's say I were to make $400,000, $500,000 next year. Would I trust myself to keep the values I hold sacred close to my heart? Would I trust myself enough to not break my own principles and promises and values? Would I change my character from receiving money, or do I trust myself enough to receive this and stay in integrity? See, for me, making advancements in my business became a question of, okay, if I want more, if I want to increase my income, how do I need to improve my integrity in order to receive this and not have it affect my character, not have it drag me into materialism, not have me become distracted from the fundamental truths and values that I hold sacred? So it became like a fun game. Like, okay, if I want this bigger goal, who do I need to be? How do I need to be more genuine, more humble, more authentic, more giving, more charitable? How can I be that in order to be trusted with this wealth? Okay, so my question to you, just in closing, is What would it be like for you to earn enough so that you can thrive and give more to the right people and things and projects than you take for yourself? To earn so much that you can give more to others than you take for yourself. That is my question for you, to get inspired, to reframe your relationship with money, to understand that if you have a big vision, there's probably a large financial component behind it if you want it to go real well and be abundant for everyone involved. And that, money is like a knife. It can be used for good, it can be used for bad. And what sort of mentality is better for me to adopt around it? Of course, this is a much more massive topic than I can cover in a few minutes. I help people generate 10 times the amount of their income through coaching, and of course would be happy to answer any questions that you have around this. All right, hope this helped, and let me know if you have any questions.